Hi there, this is Joel Kennedy with Kennedy Violins. Today is just a quick video on how to tighten your bow. And I'm just going to give you a couple tips to let you know the repercussions of a tight bow versus a loose bow. Now, first of all, to tighten your bow, you just get the screw right here and you turn it clockwise, right? That's how you will increase the tension. And so what you'll want to look at is you want to look at the hair in the middle of the bow and how close it is to the wood. So you'll notice the more that I tighten the screw, the greater that distance becomes, right? Now, you want it to be that distance, you want it to be approximately a pinky. Now, obviously, everybody's got a different size of pinky, so, it just kind of depends, right? I got bigger pinkies than some people, right? But that's just as a general rule, because you don't want to over-tighten your bow because you could damage it. So now I just want to mention 3 considerations for how much you may decide to tighten your bow. Okay, so number 1, the more you tighten your bow, the more bouncy it will become, okay? So this could be good if you are practicing a piece that has spagato, right? So you're doing some kind of bouncing technique, bounce your bow, obviously probably make it a little bit easier. But if you're not doing something that's bouncy and it's just kind of long bow strokes, well then number 2, then you have to consider that it will make your bow harder to control. So, a lot of people have an issue with shaky bow, and I'm going to be doing a video about that actually later. But a lot of people have an issue with shaky bow. Well, if your bow is too tight, it can make your bow more difficult to manage. So you have to take, those 2 things into consideration when trying to figure out if you want your bow on the tighter side or the looser side. Now, there's 2 more things to consider when tightening your bow. So number 1, it's really important that you always loosen your bow every time you put your violin away. So if you're just taking a little 5-minute break or something like that in your practice session, maybe not. But whenever you put your violin away for, over an hour or whatever, you want to make sure that you always, get the nut, you turn that clockwise, and you make sure the hair is basically coming in contact with the wood of the bow. And the reason why you want to do that is because you can stretch out the hair, you can warp the bow, meaning you can make the stick have a bend in it that, that goes this way or that way, and that's not good, right? Because your bow should only bend like this, right? So you'll always want to loosen that bow. Another thing that could happen besides warping or stretching the hair out is that you have these little wood wedges down here at the frog, and you have a little wedge here at the tip that keeps the hair in. And if you over tighten your bow or you keep it tight for too long, then it could pull the hair out. Now you have to take it to a shop and have them rehair your bow, which could cost you $100. And who likes to do that, right? So just making sure you always loosen your bow every time you put it away. Okay, there's one last thing that you should consider that it can be really important. Oh, before I mention that, I want to mention you probably should subscribe and like the video if you like it. I'm producing a lot more videos these days, so if you subscribe and you like the content, then you'll be getting this kind of content where I usually do a lot of tutorials, sometimes some performance videos, stuff like that, so it's kind of cool. But anyway, so moving on to the last thing I wanted to mention. If you are in a dry room, so let's say, well, it doesn't really matter what climate you're in, but sometimes you're in a room, let's say it's in the winter and the heater's on all the time, and so it's really dry in that room compared to like maybe outside. What can happen is that you might tighten your bow so you have just the right distance between the hair and the stick, and you start playing your instrument, but then an hour after you play, you'll notice that gap gets really big. And that's because of the dry air, it actually makes everything constrict, and you can actually break your bow that way. I've played in professional orchestras before where we're in a dry environment, and then all of a sudden you hear a pop, and then boom, somebody's $5,000 bow just broke in half. Or usually it's usually the tip, right? The tip of the bow will break because that's a weak spot. So you just want to make sure that if you are performing in a dry environment, just make sure half an hour after you start playing or 45 minutes, just check in with your bow and then readjust it to make sure the tension is just right. So anyways, that's just a quick video I wanted to do today for you guys. And like I said, if you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget, here at Kennedy Violins, we're always here to answer any kind of questions that you have. So never feel afraid to give us a call. Even if you're not our customer, you can give us a call, you can email us, text us, whatever. We're always glad to help. Have a great day, guys.